Now I'm going to come on the other side and do just the same thing, but my back will be to the camera. I keep contact with my patient, but this time I'm putting the other hand for stabilization, again grabbing from the leg furthest from me, bringing it up once, twice, 3 times, once, twice, 3 times, once, twice, 3 times, and then towards the buttocks, once, twice, 3 times. Now if I can get the camera, ironically to get the picture of how I take a stance, so as I get my hand in front of the leg but above the kneecap, then I'm getting in a place where I can lift, where I can flex my knees. So it's out, up, and over, out, up, and over, out, up, and over. You ask your subject to change the head in the other direction, out, up, and over, out, up, and over, out, up, and over. And that's basically all you need to put the tailbone in place. So I'm going to come around here to the other side. Now you don't just slap your subject on the rear end and say, that's it. Stay with them for a few seconds and let the energies harmonize. Now the next part we're going to show you is how to follow through and get rid of leukemia. So now we've asked our model to roll over on her back, and I want to show you what to do with leukemia. But before we go away from that tailbone adjusting, I want to make a special note about the knees. When you're pushing the leg, when you have hold of the ankle in any of the directions, never assume that the knee is going to flex equally in one direction as it flexes the other direction, or that the right knee is going to be the same as the left knee. They aren't usually, as a matter of fact. So all you want to do is find that point of resistance, and you find it carefully. Then go slightly past it. Slightly past it can be about this much or this much. And that's something I can't show you while I'm in the midst of it. But the point is to stretch that muscle around the tailbone. That's the entire principle of going just a little bit past the point of resistance. Now there's some people that, I swear, when the foot is pointing up this way, when you push over this way, their point of resistance is reached in this little amount of stretch. It doesn't matter. The older people seem to be this much, and I swear there's rubber in the knees of the young kids. You can push the leg all the way over the side, but that's where their point of resistance is. Doesn't matter where the point of resistance is, that's the point you go to plus a little bit. So don't think that you're not able to do this with somebody who's very stiff. You'll do it just as well with them because it's the same principle involved. But please be very careful with the knees. Test each of the four directions, although one of the directions isn't a test on the knees, but test each one before you start doing any sort of leveraging or any sort of pressure on it, because the knees are pretty funny things. Likewise, your subject isn't going to be very comfortable if they think you're about ready to break their knees. How would you like to have your knee broken by somebody who's playing ape with your legs? Nah, you wouldn't want that. Now, we promised to tell you what to do about leukemia as a follow-through. The most important part was putting the tailbone in place. The tailbone will stay in place, provided that the hip structure isn't torqued around or in some way definitively out of place. And if that's true, simply go to a chiropractor or an osteopath and have the hips put in place. Because if the coccyx comes into the sacrum, which is twisted, it doesn't seat right. So if it doesn't seat right, then the coccyx will go out of place again and you'll still have the same problem. And the only other time we find tailbones going out of place is when there's some toxicity in the muscles. This is kind of an extra. If there is arsenic poisoning in the muscle, now arsenic comes from all the pesticide sprays or from cigarette smoke because it had 5 pesticides sprayed on it, on the tobacco, then arsenic in the muscles will allow the muscles to hold the bones in place. And you keep going back to the chiropractor and you think he's not doing a right good job, or she just doesn't know what she's doing, or chiropractors are just out to lunch. The reality is your muscles are out to lunch because they have an arsenic poisoning in them. Now there is a fairly new discovery we've been finding that sometimes a metal can coagulate in the tailbone or lower sacrum area. There's one in which mercury will collect there. It is the basis for Parkinson's disease, for some forms of multiple sclerosis, but if it's there, your spine and your tailbone can't quite stay in place. If you have nickel collected there, there's often a pain and a burning throughout the body, especially if the body has some cancer in it. And third of all, there's some lead that often coagulates in the same area. Now this has a pretty far-reaching effect because especially if it's mercury, the person who gets recurrent staph infections all of a sudden finds himself unable to get rid of staph. It keeps coming back on him. But if they take out, we use homeopathics to do this, they take out the mercury in the tailbone area, the staph infections seem to just fade away. So there's a lot going on around the ancillary parts of the tailbone being put in place. Now, for leukemia, once we put the tailbone in place, we're going to do what we call an etheric brush. The etheric body being about this far away from the body. And it's a little bit jagged, although you won't see it, it's a little bit jagged, so you're going to simply brush it or smooth it out. So you do it by coming up to the head, right at the head area, you brush right over the top without touching, all the way down to the feet, and then you shake it off. In other words, you're shaking off all the stuff that shouldn't be there. Come up and repeat it right over the top of the body. And you shake it off. Now the third one you do down the side of the body. Start over the top of the head and down the side, and you shake it off. Now that's a set of 3 brushes, and you're going to do 4 sets of the same 3 brushes. So the first part is once over the top, twice over the top, and 3 times this one down the sides. Another set, right? So this third set of it, once over the top, twice over the top, and once down the side of the body. So that's 3 sets. Now, once over the top, twice over the top, and then down the side. And that's the 4 sets. You do that twice a day with a leukemia patient for 5 days. Now, while I'm on that, if somebody's ever had an electrical shock treatment or been struck by lightning or had an electrical shock from wiring, that etheric brush is one of the ways where you take the binding tied up electrical force that's in the etheric body and you take it out of the etheric body. And when you do that, then the whole body begins to relax and function the way it used to. People who have had shock treatments respond so slowly to all the herbs and homeopathics and natural treatments available because their electrical magnetic structure is just blown out to lunch by those shock treatments. It may have saved their life in a heart situation, but it prevents them from healing until you take this electromagnetic force out of the etheric body. And this is a time when you do it 5 and 6 sets of 3, and you do it twice and 3 times a day, and literally for a month or 2. So there may be 2 or 3 people doing it, but that is a way that you can do it. Now finally, about leukemia. In the book, God Helps Those Who Help Themselves, Hannah wrote about the final part of treating leukemia, and that being a combination of fruit juice and whole eggs and egg yolks put together. And basically it's a pint of whatever juice that you like. In the case for the fellow from Canada, we used simply orange juice. You can use a combination of juices. But within about a pint of orange juice, you put 12 full eggs and 12 egg yolks. Now it's important to hand beat it and beat it in this way. Don't beat it up in the machine because the spin of the machines is the reverse way. And the way you beat it up is very, very important. But you want to blend it so you do it in a clockwise fashion. You beat it up by hand. And then ask the person to drink it. Now often children have leukemia. And the reason children have leukemia is there's discord in the family. Mom and dad aren't getting along in some way, or whoever they're living with aren't getting along. the children pick up that so easily. They'll either get earaches, or they'll get an asthma, or they'll get leukemia. So when they come in with this emotional upset, they're in a pretty precarious position. So the real solution to leukemia is to get things at home put together. But they're going to be a little bit tedious, or they're going to be a little bit on edge when you beat up this orange juice, etc. So don't let other kids come around, because the other kids, just because it's different, they'll say, ooh, look at that, yuck. And now, is your daughter or your son going to drink yuck? Of course not. So now you have a devil of a time getting them to drink what they need to drink. But you want them to drink this combination because it restores the balance in the stomach, allows them to start eating again and reestablish the blood supply. There's a poison that goes in the stomach with leukemia, and it's neutralized by the juices and eggs.